All right, guys, everybody ready? We're closing up. So detox specifically, we're going to talk about, Dwight, if you want to go to that next, perfect, you're good right there. We're going to talk about obesogens. How many of you guys know that word? Okay, none of you guys, okay. So obesogens, what they found and what they classify these are hormone disruptors. These are leading to decreased bodily function, increased weight gain, and increased disease. The problem with these obesogens is they're what we call endocrine disruptors, meaning they disrupt our hormones on a basic level. So the more we're exposed to these, and these are everywhere in society. These are in, toys. These are in plastic water bottles, containers. They're in the foods we eat. They're in the cosmetics that we use. So we are constantly being bombarded and exposed to these. The big thing we have to understand is, number one, we have to limit our exposure. We're in a world where these things don't just disappear. So we have to limit our exposure as much as possible. And number two, we actually have to take part in detox. So I'm going to go through three major categories. So number one is personal care products. This is a big one, guys. And this is one where a lot of people, we maybe aren't willing to spend the extra couple bucks that it would take to get us a clean product, or maybe we just want to use up like all of our whole supply that we've had in our basement of like Irish Spring soap, right? Anybody still using that? All right. If you are, no judgment, no judgment. Just throw it away, please, when you get home. So pesticides, number one. Pesticides actually exist in our soaps. Pesticides, it's just more than our food. It exists in our cosmetics. So we have to be really conscious when we make these choices because, again, if you're eating organic, it doesn't make sense to be using something from Aldi that is, baseline price because, again, you're going to be assaulting your body in a massive way. Flame retardants. You guys all know flame retardants shouldn't be on or near your body, yes? Yet, a lot of you may not know this, but you sleep on a pillow or you sleep on a mattress or you use sheets and blankets that are hosed down in flame retardants. It's also in some of the cosmetics that women use, specifically concealers. Now, phthalates, a lot of you know that term. These are found in many plastics, toys, bottles, different things like that. So what we store our food in matters. If you have those plastic to-go containers, let alone you heat those things up in the microwave, you are ingesting tons of chemicals, like to the hundreds level. So glass containers only, pretty simple. PFAs, so these are in our dishes and our glasses. A lot of us, we like the pretty dishes, the ones that look good on the table. And when you put hot food into those dishes, these are the things that actually leach into our food. So we have to ask good questions in that regard. BPAs, that's a pretty familiar term that you guys know, but personal care products matter. That's number one. Number two is cookware. How many of you guys still have Teflon pans? I will not judge. Just throw up a hand. Come on, be brave. Yeah, Teflon pans. So PTFEs. So these are actually outlawed now. You shouldn't be able to buy them. That class action lawsuit just keeps getting pushed out. And I get it. It's easy. When you're making eggs, no one wants to do, you just want it to slide right off the pan, right? Like no one wants to do the dishes. So we keep the Teflon pans around. The problem is this leaches into our food and has been linked 100% to brain tumors, thyroid tumors, and breast tumors. So we have to get rid of these things, guys. And again, we don't want to be too early on the adoption scale. We don't want to be those people that say like, oh, well, these new diamond coating things like that I see on QVC or an infomercial or something along those lines. Don't be the early adopter. We want to stick with what works. And I'm going to present these three problems first, and then we're going to talk solutions. The last one is water. This one's a big one because we don't really realize that our tap water has not only an insane amount of drugs in it, so everything from Viagra to birth control, that's actually in the tap water that is being missed in the filtration process. It still exists. Chemicals, metals specifically. So the quickest way to get metals into your body is drink tap water. And then lastly, microplastics. This is where I want to spend just a little bit of time because, and this is a stat, the average person drinks 1,769 plastic particles from tap water every single day. So let that sink in. Now, there was a study done, and it showed that 94.4% of all tap water in the United States contain this level of microplastics. So this isn't just in like random small towns. This is in all the tap water. And if you think, well, I don't really use tap water, but do you use it when you cook? Do you use it to make your coffee? Like, where is this stuff entering your life? You think about what you're showering in. Are you showering in just straight tap water? Because again, that's being absorbed into your skin and it is affecting you at a hormonal level, especially women. So this Norwegian study showed that plasticizers were found in 2016, 2017 in 90% of the people that were tested in their urine. So these are colorless, odorless. This is something that is across the board affecting people. So again, there are things that we can't seem to get away from, but when you have a choice, like when you go out to a restaurant and they say, would you like tap water or bottled water? I know it's a more expensive option, but choose the bottled water. You know what I'm saying? Like, understand that this does affect your body, and it's the things that we do repetitiously, like these three, on a day in, day out basis where we have constant exposure. That's what limits us the most. Now, Dr. Mariah touched on this next portion that I'm going to go through, but these are the detoxification pathways of the liver. So there are 3 parts to the detoxification process. Now, this happens all the time. This is happening as long as you are breathing, this process is happening. But over time, the more toxic exposure we have, the more our body slows down, the more our body degrades. So step 1 is, so toxins specifically, your body is intelligent, guys. You have 70 trillion cells in your body, and outside of every cell is a fat layer, and that's where toxins are stored. Your body pushes them into cells and away from vital organs to keep you alive longer. Does that make sense to everybody? So what this does in step 1 is it uses these vitamins like B vitamins, glutathione, antioxidants, vitamin E, vitamin C, and it will unlock that toxicity element from that cell layer, and it will start to move it into the body to get it ready for elimination. Phase 2 is to neutralize. That's the neutralize phase. That's basically going to take that toxic element and make it more non-toxic so it doesn't disturb the body as the body starts to eliminate it. This is where the daily detox comes in. And again, everyone that sits in this room needs to detox. We are, again, constantly exposed to everything in our environment. But if you've ever taken an antibiotic in your life and you've never done a detox, you absolutely should do the detox. I would highly recommend that because we never realize how toxic our bodies are becoming. When we're waking up in the middle of the night and we have these night sweats, we're just like, oh, it must be my hormones. But detoxification is an important part of that. Or, you have something where you're like, man, I just feel like this racing pulse all the time, or my blood pressure is shooting up. So we look at these things specifically as systemic problems, but they come from too much toxicity in the body. So that step 2 is going to move those elements out. It's going to use things like glutathione and milk thistle. And lastly, comes to the elimination phase. That's going to go through the kidneys, the bile, and the bowel. Now, this is where what Dr. Sam was talking about, this is where nerve supply is so important, because if your brain is not able to communicate adequately to your kidneys or to your colon, then your body is not going to go through this detoxification process appropriately. So yes, supplementation is huge, but nerve supply is also huge. So here's the steps on what we need to do. Number 1, this is a little app on your phone. Smartphones are amazing. Everybody should download this app before they leave. It's called EWG, stands for the Environmental Working Group. And this app is so amazing that it will come with a scanner, and you can go home to your closet, you can scan all of your items, you can go to the grocery store if you're ever unsure and scan all those items, and it will give you a grade level from basically A to F. It'll say, wow, this is a green product, this is absolutely safe to use, or this is a yellow product, and it'll list some of the toxins that are in it, or this is a red product, you should never ever put this on or near your body. And believe me, guys, with marketing, those products are still all over our shelves. So number 1, download that EWG app. This one's pretty simple. Anybody that raised their hands that have Teflon pans, your assignment today is go home and throw them away. Get them out of your, everyone's like, man, I'm not laughing at that, that hurts. Guys, so here are the pans that are acceptable. Everybody ready? This is a fill in the blank. So again, you want stainless steel, which is called Teflon. You want glass, and you want cast iron. Those are the 3 that are acceptable. Anything else, get it out of your life. It's just not worth it, especially when it's something you do every single day, multiple times a day. Lastly, water filtration. So you can do this the inexpensive way. Some of you guys tried that those Berkey filters back there, the Berkey water. That is a great way to filter drinking water, to filter the water that you cook with, the water that you use coffee. They actually make shower filters that screw onto your shower. They're like $65. and it will completely change the contaminants that you're actually absorbing into your skin. Or you could do something like a whole home filtration system. These are around $2,500. There's a lot of different varieties out there. I think like Water Boss is a really, really good one. I'll double check that and get that to you guys if you have questions. But again, it's completely worth it. And when you choose a bottle of water, glass bottles, always. So Mountain Valley is a great product. It's a great type of water. They come in glass bottles. It's cold refrigeration, because if you're using those bottles of water and they're plastic, number one, number two, like Aquafina, Dasani, like absolutely not. If it's really, really thin, like those throwaways from Costco, the thinner the plastic, the more it leaches. And these water bottles are stored in big pallets. They're stored in warehouses that are extremely high temperature, and all of this plastic is leaching into the water before you consume it. If you're ever like, man, this actually tastes like plastic, you'd be right. So this is where everyone should start when it comes to detox. I know there's literally a million other things out there, but take the detox, take the daily detox, do that for a month. If you're new to it, I always recommend people do 3 straight months, because again, people have had a lot of toxic exposure. They've taken a lot of antibiotics. They've taken a lot of medication. It is in your system. So the detox will help with that. It also helps with heavy metals. For me specifically, I don't know if you guys know this, but I had a history of migraines when I was a kid, and they thought they were so bad I was losing vision, they thought I had a tumor. So they gave me an MRI, and the MRI, they inject a contrast called gadolinium. It's a metal. And I recently had my blood tested, and I have high gadolinium rates in my body because the gadolinium has never left my body. So again, more reasons to detox. Things that we don't typically see. So again, action starts today, guys. Again, it's not, well, I'm going to use the pan for a couple more months, or I'm going to hold off on detoxifying until I get everything else in check. Again, the more steps you can take forward, you don't have to wait to get things in check. Take a step forward, and that's where your life will change, because the basics are going to be what creates success.